ShartimusPrime, reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it, taking bad hits, taking bad shit,
You can have him eating pizza with it, you can have him scratching his butt, you can have him tasting his butt. Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing another DC Comics action figure review on the NECA Toys Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie 1/4 scale Batman! If you're trying to pick this up, you can get a big. Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below. And big thanks to NECA Toys for making this review possible. If you want to see the latest from them, be sure to check the links in the description below. And this is a very cool looking Ben Affleck Batman that we see right over here. I really like the packaging for this too. I like how we get the busted Metropolis in the background and everything. On the side of the packaging, you can see a couple of poses that you can put the figure in along with some accessories. And on the very back over here, you can see the Bat Flak again. And at the bottom, it says 2 pairs of hands, 2 Batarangs, a grappling gun, along with 2 tips for the grappling gun. And then on this side, you can see a couple more poses, and you can see him holding the accessories. On the top, you get the Batman v Superman logo. Then at the very bottom, you can see all the people responsible for creating the figure. Alright, let's get to it and crack this thing open. And here's the giant Bat Flak out of the packaging, and wow, this figure is really cool. I have to say, so far, out of all of the quarter scale NECA Toys figures that I've seen so far, this one is my favorite one. I really like the articulation a lot. The sculpting is really awesome. I love all the sculpted detail that we get throughout his suit. I really like the accessories and everything. I do have some complaints, but for the most part, like I said, this is my favorite quarter scale NECA Toys figure that I've seen so far, so I'm very happy with it, and I'm happy that he comes with a lot of accessories as well. So let's take a closer look at those accessories, and then we'll take a closer look at the Bat Flak. So here's all the accessories that Batman comes with. As you can see, we get the Grapple Blaster, and then the 2 tips, the 2 Batarangs, and then the 2 sets of interchangeable hands. First off, looking at the Grapple Blaster, I really like it a lot. Look at that, man. The paint looks really good on this. I like all the sculpted detail throughout on this thing. There's not one part of it that's lacking color variation, so great job on the paint. Even the handle right over here, that looks awesome. Really cool Grapple Blaster. Then you have the 2 tips right over here, and these are painted out very well. I like these. And all you got to do is just, slide this into there. And you could put the other one in here as well, so you can have both of them stored into that little piece. That looks pretty cool. Or you could port one of them into the top part right over here. Find it a little tough to get it all the way in there, but there it goes. Not too shabby. I like that. He also has his 2 Batarangs, and I like how these look. I love the silver paint on these. These look really cool. There's the back end, so I want to show. Oh, actually, they're slightly different from each other. I thought they were similar. Dang, wow. Took me a second to, I just thought I was looking on the back side, but yeah, that's cool how they're different. Did not notice that in the movie that he had different Batarangs, so I need to see the movie again. So that's awesome. And then he has these interchangeable hands, so he has a pair of fisted hands over here. I really like the gold paint on these. And I love that you can see all the lines sculpted in there, so it looks like leather. And you can see on the inside of the hands right over here that we get these nice rivets sculpted in there. And there's a little bit of paint chipping, but not a big deal because it has the black plastic to go along with it. Then you have the Grapple Blaster holding hand right over here for the right side. And then on this side you have the Batarang holding hand, which is very cool. So yeah, you can put a Batarang right in there. So he holds that pretty easy. I like that. It looks pretty good. And then you could take this piece, and thanks to Sehaman, who makes really good reviews. If you want to see his channel, I'll put a link in the description below. Check out Sehaman. But yeah, thanks to his videos, I saw his review, and you could just pop this out right over there at the thumb, which is very cool. I love that they've designed it like that. And then you could just wedge the handle a lot easier in there, as opposed to not having that function with the removable thumb. Then we just take the thumb and then just put that right back in there. Yeah, come on, there it goes. Yeah, so that's really awesome. I think that's very smart engineering by NECA. I think that's great. Oops, and I just realized that you can port these things into this bottom piece over here too. Now getting a look at the head sculpt and the cowl over here, it doesn't look too bad. I feel like it does bear the likeness of Ben Affleck. However, I can't say that it's dead on. I feel like the chin just looks a little on the long side to me. Now I do think it definitely looks a lot more like Ben Affleck than any other Dawn of Justice Batman figure that that I have. But this one, I don't know. It's just this part right over here just looks a little bit on the long side to me. However, the cowl itself is sculpted out very nicely. I really like how we get all these little textured lines throughout. We get the little wrinkles right over there on the top of the head. The eyes look very realistic to me. I really love how we get the pink right there around the edges. You can see that he has the black makeup on around the eyelids and everything. And you can see the sculpted work right here. We get a lot of nice details in the stubble and some color variation right there. So that looks pretty good. The mouth does look a little bit weird. Like I said, you know, the jaw part, you know, throws me off a little bit, but other than that, I do like this head sculpt. Now as we look at the side right over here, I really like the shape of the cowl and everything, you know. I really like the design of this Batman a lot. This is really, I think, I will say I need some more time to really digest it, even though the movie's been out for a while, but it's like I keep wanting to say this is my favorite on-screen Batman, but I always want to hold that back. Anyway, looking at the cape right over here, it's made out of this nice material. I really like it. The little points in it are very subtle. As you can see, there's a cape sprawled all the way out right over there. You know, not looking too bad. I do like the size of the cape. Pretty good sized cape. But going back to the front of the figure over here, I do really like how this looks with all the textured work right there in the suit. I think that looks awesome. And I love the shadowing effect that we get around the seams and everything. I will say that the Bat logo does look a little bit off-center to me though. Like the tail of the bat doesn't match the center of the head of the bat right over there. So that kind of annoys me. It actually definitely annoys me. It's like that point lines up with the left ear of the bat, and I wish that was a little bit more centered. I do like that we have a lot of nicks and everything though. I think that's really cool. And that goes throughout the whole figure. You have these sculpted in like slashes and everything in his suit, and I think that's pretty awesome. Love how we get the shadowing effect throughout too. I really like that a lot. Again, really nice sculpted detail in here. I love that in the joints for both the elbows and the knees. You can see that they did sculpt a lot of work right in there, so I think that's very cool. And I love the gloves. The gloves are made out of a softer material right over here. As you can see, that's really nice looking. I like the gold paint, and we can get some dry brushing over the gold, looking really nice. We already saw the hands. And looking at the utility belt, that is freaking awesome. I love the utility belt on this thing. I love seeing the dry brushing over the gold, and it looks so realistic. I want to flip these up and everything, but you know, you can't. But I think that's really cool. One thing to mention also is that he kind of has like this soft material over the buck inside, so you can see it squishes in. Then the belt you can shift up and down. And then same thing with, you know, the crotch area right there. You can see all the nicks. Ooh, somebody got really close to the Batman right there. Oh, no. Uh-oh, that was almost no Damien. Or wasn't Damien in a test tube, baby? I can't exactly remember. Again, the legs look really great on this. And then there's the boots again. Damn, I'm holding this thing with one arm right now. Oh, I'm so buffed. But again, looking at the boots, I just think they look really cool with all those little lines in there and everything. I love it, man. Got some treads at the bottom of the feet. Of course, he has his peg holes. I like how he has these steel tips right over here. So he has steel toe boots. So that's pretty neat, even though they're made with gold and silver. And with the cape over his head, here's looking at the back of the figure. Bat butt, and then their back. And no bat head. Now, as far as the articulation goes, I think it's pretty good. You can move the head up a reasonable amount, so I like that. And his head moves down some too. Of course, to get that shifting, as I had mentioned, he doesn't have an actual pivot though. You can rotate it side to side, so I think that's pretty neat. So I'm enjoying that. That's pretty sweet. You can adjust the cape around that so it looks a little better. You can get his shoulders moving outward pretty far, and of course you can rotate forward and back over here. You do get a bicep swivel right there. You get double jointed elbows. You get rotation at the forearm right there. Then the wrist swivels side to side and hinges up and down, and it's like that with all four of those wrists. You do get an ab crunch in here, as you can see, and then the suit, you know, as I mentioned earlier, is soft so that it bends with it. And it can crunch back some. It also has a waist joint in here that does allow that crunching too. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm really moving the waist joint or the diaphragm joint. I think it's really just the waist joint. The waist can turn side to side, of course, and yeah, still only a little bit of pivot. Get these really thick, ratcheted hip joints right here. I think that's pretty good, so he can move his legs pretty far outward. That's not too bad. And you can get him to kick forward really far. Not really far, but, you know, a fair amount. and you can move the leg back as well. And you can also rotate the thigh over here. One thing I also want to mention with this figure is that it is a lot more durable as far as the plastic quality goes compared to the Iron Man Mark 43 I reviewed recently. This one's got much stronger plastic. You got nice double jointed knees right over there. There's no boot rotation over here, but it will rotate side to side at the foot. It does move down some, it moves up some, and it definitely has some good ankle pivot. Then to measure this Batman figure out, I want to say he's standing at about 20 inches tall. Very large figure. And then for your NECA Toys quarter scale Batman comparison, we have the Batfleck compared to the Arkham Origins Batman. And you can see that the ears are actually going up higher than the Batfleck over here, but looking at the top of the skull, this one's taller. And then for your Batfleck comparison, here we have the quarter scale version compared to Mattel's 6-inch scale SDCC exclusive. Then here's the giant Batfleck next to the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. Hey Batman, I was always wondering, trigger happy much? Now I mentioned a couple of gripes about this figure, but the one gripe I have not mentioned yet, which is my biggest gripe, is that this is not a 7-inch scale figure. I just prefer the 7-inch scale. This quarter scale figure is amazing though. Like I said, this is my favorite quarter scale figure. Not just my favorite quarter scale Batman, but out of all of them, this was the most fun to pose. I love how it looks. I really like the accessories a lot. And I love the Batfleck, man. Batfleck killed it, man. I loved it. Anyway, I hope you guys loved this review. If you did, please hit the like button. Click any of the boxes popping up right over here for more Shart all over your face. If you have not yet hit the subscribe button, please do so by clicking that button right over there. If you want to see my last review, I did a video on the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z War of Gods Beerus. Not Battle of Gods, War of Gods. War of Gods because I say so. Okay, it's really Battle of Gods. Anyway, the video before that was a P.O. Box Pickups where I featured my latest comic book haul along with some awesome Shart art. So if you've not seen that video, go ahead and click the button right over there. And then I also have t-shirts available at ShartimusPrime.net, so you can support this channel by checking those out. Maybe pick up a t-shirt, maybe buy a song. I got my music up there also. If you want to see a photo gallery of images from this review, you can find it at ToyNewsEye.com, along with my written article on this figure. So please check that out. I like writing articles every now and then. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video once again, and I'll catch you later. Peace!
Posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures every day. I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, it's okay.
That's crispy.
And 2 tips for the Grapple Blaster.